Hi, I'm Dave Burgess, and I'm the morning show host at Sarnia Port Huron's Best Rock, K106.3. If you've listened to our show, you know that we're kind of irreverent in the morning. We have a lot of fun, and it's really lighthearted. The story I'm going to tell you today, though, is a little bit different than what we normally do on the radio. I hope you'll spend the next little while with me as I journey back to the beaches of Normandy with my father and find out about his involvement in D-Day.
My name is George Burgess. I was a private. I was in the Army from 1939 right the way through until 1945. In 1939, when the war was pretty well inevitable, I was called up for the Territorial Army, and I spent the next 6.5 years in the Army. They were good days. They were, in the beginning, they were good days. The war in France was non-existent. It was, what did they call it, the phony war. And life was pretty good. We, had this nice uniform and everything to show off. But what can I tell you? It was a job that it was boot camp kind of thing, and we learned as much as we could about our weapons, what weapons we had. There weren't a lot of weapons in those days, in '39. But after that, the Battle of Britain took place. There was tremendous amount of bombing going on. Not to us. We never saw very much bombing or action at all. Most of the bombing, of course, was happening in places like London and Coventry and Manchester and everywhere but where we were. Consequently, instead of British soldiers or the public getting telegrams about British soldiers were getting telegrams that their parents and their loved ones were being killed in places like London. I, in fact, got a letter from, or a communication to me while I was in Blythe that my mother had been bombed out of her house.
My dad was a dispatch rider with the British infantry of the 30 Corps of the Royal Berkshires, and during D-Day he came ashore at Sword Beach. From what I understand, a dispatch rider would ride his motorcycle ahead and make sure that the maps that they had were accurate and something hadn't been bombed out like the road, and he would communicate that information back to the troops as they came along.
The actual D-Day landing was the first time I saw any action where a lot of my school friends were killed. And it's difficult to hold that in your memory. It's like I tried to explain, can you remember the first time you rode a bike? Or the first time you ice skated? You remember the ice skating afterwards, but it's very difficult to remember the first time you did it. And that's how that day was. You begin to see just how vicious and how horrible war can be when you see friends in awful, terrible wounds. These are the bad days. These are the bad times. 1 minute you're sitting on a boat having a smoke and feeling like $1 million, and next minute, because seasickness never bothered me, although it did a lot of the guys. It never bothered me because I've been at sea, and but to me, and suddenly you're exposed to this, to everybody trying to kill you.
I think seeing my father and another English veteran stand back and salute that plaque where the Royal Berkshires actually came ashore on D-Day was probably one of the most emotional parts of the trip for me.
When David and Peter, my sons, asked me that they would like to go back with me, we decided to make a go of it and go back to this situation. However, I was very, very apprehensive. I didn't know how I would feel. What can I say? You try in your life to blot out the bad things that happened in your life. It is now 60 years later, and a lot of the memories have softened, but I don't think there's any soldier that landed at D-Day can ever forget it. And you don't need too many memories being. You don't need them coming back. You never forget it, you know. I believe the last time I did this, I choked up, and it's still there. I choke up when I go and see those guys, all my friends, and sometimes on Armistice Day. I call it Armistice Day, Remembrance Day. I stand at the cenotaph and I see faces, right? And memories. You asked me about my feelings on war. Most wars, I think, especially today, when we know about the weapons that we have, I feel, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I feel that everybody has his beliefs. Everybody believes that he's doing the right thing. Even Germany believed that they were doing the right thing. But to further how I feel about war, I believe that people should try to accept the way other people see life, not the way we believe that they should see it, but try to accept the way they see it and try to live along these lines, rather than, if you don't believe what I believe in, we'll come over and bomb you. War is a horrible thing, and we just haven't learned. There's nothing worse. It's absolutely nothing worse. Most vets, you'd be amazed at how many vets finished up in jail after the war because they couldn't switch this off. You don't just one day. I spent 6.5 years being taught how to kill, and kill effectively, by people who really know what they were doing. They show you the best ways to kill a person. I know all kinds of ways to kill a person, but luckily I've been able to run my life without having to kill anybody.
So before we went to Normandy, I think my brother and I probably thought that we knew everything about the Second World War. My dad's told stories for years, about the Second World War and what he did, and we paid attention and thought we knew everything that he had been through. But it wasn't until we actually went to Normandy and saw the place, walked in his footsteps of the places he actually was, and saw the way the people reacted to him when he walked down the street, when they talked about what they went through, during the Second World War, that it really hit home for us. I'm proud of my dad. I know my brother's proud of my dad as well. I'm proud of his story, and he's my hero.